If you struggle to read the fine print as you grow older and need reader glasses, you're not alone. It happens to the best of us. In this episode of The Pulse, the Dean of RMU's College of Optometric Medicine, Dr. Adam Hickenbotham, joins us for a discussion about a condition called presbyopia and how to help our aging eyes. Hope you enjoy. We're excited to have Adam Hickenbotham in the studio today. He's the founding dean of RMU's College of Optometric Medicine and many other things.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for dropping by. We're excited today to talk to you about something that's unfortunately near and dear to my heart. And I've got the reader's glasses here because I used to have great eyes. And then I hit about age 40 and suddenly I had to move things. My sister said, "You look like you're playing a trombone."
Right.
You know, suddenly the eye is everything gets a little bit further away, and now I should invest in reader glasses because I certainly buy my fair share of readers.
Right.
So we're going to talk about presbyopia. Presbyopia.
Correct.
There we go. So in a nutshell, what is that, and why do people's eyes start failing them when they become older, hit that 40-year mark?
So presbyopia is the inability to focus up close. And so in some ways it is a loss of near vision, but it's due to a inability to focus. And so it's more of it's an effect that occurs due to aging. So it's an aging loss of vision due to an inability to focus. 300 years ago, 500 years ago, maybe not everybody had to worry about presbyopia. Today, when people are living to 40, 60, 80, 100, everybody will develop presbyopia at around that 40 years of age, and then cataracts at about that 60 to 70 years of age.
Okay,
so
well,
it's inevitable.
I'm excited to have something else to look forward to with my eyes. So is there anything that you can do to treat presbyopia aside from getting reader glasses?
So you can keep your eyes healthy. And so everything that we know how to do to keep ourselves healthy, not smoking, not drinking, getting enough sleep, exercising, eating right, vegetables, healthy living, all that stuff can help in cataracts and can help with presbyopia, but it's still inevitable, but it keeps your eyes healthier, and the process takes a little bit longer because of that. People who are in tropical areas with more sunlight, they tend to develop presbyopia earlier with the higher UV exposure. People up in the northern areas tend to get it a little bit later.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I know you can go in and get cataracts removed, correct? Or at least corrected.
Correct, yeah.
Are there any treatments like that for presbyopia?
So sometimes people do that exact same treatment for presbyopia. So rather than wait until they get cataracts, they get their lens exchanged. So there's a refractive lens exchange, and they just change their lens, their 40-year-old lens, for a plastic lens, a silicone lens, or some lens that they put inside plastic lens to replace the lens that they have in their eye. Now, the side effect of that is that new lens that they put in won't be able to focus in and out. And so they're taking a lens that is hard plastic and sticking it in their eye to replace their lens. So they'll have a fixed distance. It'll be a clear lens, but it won't be able to focus in and out. Now, some people get a multifocal lens. So just like there's multifocal glasses where you can look up and down and see, they can put a multifocal lens inside your eye. It's not perfect. It still has different areas of how clear it is, different depths based on what you're looking at. But sometimes people do that even at younger ages.
Oh, that's interesting. What else can you do? Are there any treatments, medicines, or I know that you have a specialty with laser treatment.
Correct.
I understand.
Yeah. So they just had another drop FDA approved for it. So there's 3 drops now approved for presbyopia.
Like eye drops?
Eye drops, right.
Okay.
So there's 3 eye drops that are FDA approved. And all 3 of those eye drops are based on the same principle. And that principle is if you have a smaller pupil, it expands your depth of focus. And so by making the pupil smaller, you can see closer or further. A small pupil allows that depth of focus to increase, just like with a camera. For people who are photographers, they know that if they get a smaller pinhole for their camera, they can see different ranges easier. So you could look at a picture and maybe the person you're looking at is in focus, but maybe the background is in focus as well if you have a small aperture for your camera. And so all three of these eye drops use that same principle. They make the pupil smaller, and so you can read better and you can see distance and read at the same time. The three that are FDA approved now, Vuity was the first one. That was FDA approved like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
And then last year, Qlosi got approved. And then just a month or two ago, the third one just got approved, and that's Viz, V-I-Z-Z. And so now there's 3 of them approved. 2 of them are pilocarpine. And so pilocarpine was one of the first drugs, one of the first eye drops ever to hit the market. And that was, I think it was in the 1950s when that one hit the market. It was used for glaucoma at the time because the idea was if they made the pupil smaller, it would allow the fluid in the eye to escape through that anterior chamber, through the canal that goes out of the anterior chamber. And so they used that for glaucoma. The last one, Viz, is also was used for glaucoma, but in Russia. And so Russia used it for decades and decades and decades. Same principle as pilocarpine. And so they're very similar in their action. All of them started off as glaucoma drugs. None of them were good glaucoma drugs. We have much, much better ones now. And so none of them are used for glaucoma anymore, but they're going back to them because what they find is that small pupil actually helps people to read very well.
So is this an eye drop you administer by yourself, or is it something that an optometrist or somebody else has to give you? And how is it daily, weekly, monthly?
Yeah, so you'd have to get a prescription for it.
Okay.
So you'd go to an optometrist or an ophthalmologist. They would look at your eye, make sure that you don't have anything else going on with your eye that could be problematic. But yeah, so they would look at the pupil, make sure it's functioning well, make sure that your pressures are good, things like that, and then they would prescribe that drop for you. Now the drop you would use, so you could use it in the morning, and then it would last for a certain amount of time depending upon the type it was. Each of these different ones have different lengths of action. Some of them, the newest one, Viz, they believe it works 8 to 10 hours, and so you could put it in the beginning of your day, and then it would last you throughout the day until maybe late afternoon or early evening.
Does it have any other side effects, or can you drive at night, or does it affect, when you're in the dark and with a small pupil? It seems like it would have that.
Yeah, and that was one of the concerns a lot of times is if you make a small pupil, how well can they see at night? Because you're making it harder and more difficult. So I've actually tried pilocarpine well before it was FDA approved, and I noticed that there was a certain, and this is with regular pilocarpine, not the ones that are now FDA approved for presbyopia, but there was a time where your vision started to get dim, and then your retina would adjust to that. And so your retina can actually adjust 20 to 50 times with light levels. So if you notice when you go into a movie theater, you walk into the movie theater and you can't see anything. It's just completely dark.
Yeah.
But then how long does it take before your eye adjusts? It doesn't take that long. And what's actually adjusting, it's not your pupil that's adjusting. Your pupil adjusts pretty fast. It's your retina that's adjusting. And so once you start being able to see, like if you wake up in the middle of the night and you can see fairly well, it's because your retina has adjusted to the light levels. And so even with those small pupils, at night, you can actually drive pretty well.
So who would you recommend to look into the eye drops?
It would be people who, in terms of, you wouldn't want them to be wearing contacts either. So there are people without glasses who see well at distance but need help up at near. And so they put the drops in, the pupil gets smaller, and then they can read or they can do things up close. And each of these drops, these 3 drops that I talked about, they have different lengths of action. Some of them are 3 hours, some of them are 6, some of them are 8. And so it depends upon the time period that you would use.
Do insurance cover these, or how much do these cost?
Yeah, so a lot of times with your vision, it's considered cosmetic. So things like LASIK, glasses sometimes is considered cosmetic, contact lenses. So if you have vision insurance, it'll pay for it, but most of the time medical doesn't pay for those kind of things. So if you're getting the drops for presbyopia, then they're considering it a cosmetic issue with you. You could put on reading glasses, but you don't want to because you don't want to have reading glasses on. Yeah. And so you're doing something cosmetically to treat yourself that is not covered by insurance, medical insurance.
Yeah, I have probably 15 pairs of readers glass. I mean, my kids make fun of me all the time
Right.
in my vehicle, around the home.
Right.
Sometimes I have them on my head and I can't remember where I put them. But I guess that's another aging issue.
Yeah, so readers, they're very helpful in terms of reading. One of the issues is they're only focused at one distance.
Yeah.
And so when you put on readers, you have to hold them at that distance, otherwise you can't see very well. And like if you look up, you can't see anything far away. And so one of the advantages to these eye drops is because it makes your pupil small, it's actually really expanding that depth of focus. And so whether you're looking up close or far away, you're still able to see with that small pupil effect.
So do you recommend that people go in around age 40 once they start noticing that they're doing the trombone thing and get an eye check to get a prescription for readers and to see what other options are, or what do you recommend there?
Yeah, so everybody should be getting an eye exam every year.
Okay.
Now, hopefully that's the case. We know it's not. We know that not everybody, just like not everybody goes to the dentist every year, not everybody goes in for an eye exam every year, especially if they don't think there's anything wrong. Women tend to go in more often than men, and so women actually get diagnosed earlier with presbyopia than men do. Because for one reason is they tend to go to the doctor more. Two, they tend to want to fix their problems more than men do. And three, the third reason, and I actually I got a master's in public health, and for my capstone project for my master's degree, my paper was on women versus men in terms of presbyopia. And so what we find is that women actually have a stronger focusing system than men do. And if you go back to Socrates and others, they would say that women have weaker eyes than men do. But in actuality, their focusing ability is better. Now, in terms of prescription versus non-prescription, because you can go get readers at a drugstore, at Walmart, at other places.
The only reason I have a Costco membership.
Right. So you can put these readers all around the house. And these readers, you can get them for $10 or something like that. And so it's easy to fill your whole house with these readers. And so that's the convenience of the readers. Now, the quality of the glass, the quality of the lenses probably isn't as good as if you get a prescription one.
Okay.
And it's not precisely what you need, especially if you have any astigmatism. And so if you go to a doctor and they can get you a prescription for it, they'll get you a better lens, better quality lens. They can also put on anti-reflective coatings or other things, anti-scratch coatings. So you'll get a better quality pair of glasses, but it'll cost you more. So it's kind of that trade-off. Are you going to get a $200 pair of glasses that really lets you see well, or are you going to get a $10 pairs of glasses or something?
Yeah, I've made that latter choice, and I think it's time that I come over to the RMU Eye Institute.
Well, it's a choice to make, and maybe both. Maybe you have one nice pair of reading glasses that you use when you're going to be reading for a long period of time to really see well and to not have that eye strain, and then you just other places where it's going to be convenient, you can just pick up one of these cheaper reader glasses and just throw those on and see with it. So, and it has to do with your prescription too.
Yeah.
Sometimes your prescription between the readers and between the one that your doctor is going to prescribe is almost exactly the same, but sometimes it's quite a bit different. So.
No, I know that. So we talked about the drops and the readers, but I know that you are involved in laser technology.
Right.
Let's talk about that a little, and how that developed and where you're at now.
You want the long story or the short story?
Yes, somewhere in between there.
Somewhere in between. All right. So after I graduated from optometry school, I actually worked at a refractive surgery center in Thailand. And so we were doing some experimental treatments through Zeiss in Germany, and we were trying to correct the shape of the cornea so that people who had LASIK could both see distance and near. So people with presbyopia and myopia and astigmatism, they could get that perfect corneal shape.
Yeah, so what drew you to studying presbyopia and this topic?
Yeah, so when I had discussed, so there was the whole surgery for LASIK to cause people to be able to see both distance and near. And so when I went into my PhD dissertation, I was really trying to formulate a shape to the cornea to be able to see both distance and near. And so it was kind of an answer to a question where we already had the technology, but we didn't know how to use it. And so I went into it looking for what is the best shape to do. But as I got further and further into the topic, I realized that there were other solutions and other ways to do it that were perhaps better than to try to change the shape of the cornea. And so then, after I finished my PhD, I did a patent on, I started thinking, do I want to do it with eye drops? Do I want an implant? Do I want to do a surgery? How do I want to do it to make that pupil small? I thought the eye drops, that was only going to be a temporary fix.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then I thought, well, now I'm going to do a laser treatment. How am I going to fix the eye so it's going to have a small pupil, but at the same time be able to adjust a little bit? And so what I decided was I'm going to try to weaken that dilator muscle. The pupil of the eye has two muscles. It has a sphincter muscle in the inside, and then a dilator muscle that pulls it open. So one muscle closes it, one muscle opens it. And so I started doing a laser treatment, and I patented this, and where I would weaken that dilator muscle, and so that when you started to read, that sphincter muscle would constrict easily. It wouldn't have that opposition from the dilator muscle. And so I did that on animals, and then I did some human trials, and we're still moving along with that. So it's exciting, but that's where we're at right now with that. So hopefully that's coming in the future.
Yeah.
So,
do you have a time frame that you're hoping for? Or?
Well, I'm waiting for a cost estimate for the next clinical trial, and then hopefully we can start that next year. And so I already have the experimental laser built. We built that through a company in Australia. And so I actually have built two of them. So we have two of the experimental lasers, and we'll start that. So we did it initially with a laser that was already available on the market, but then I created another laser that would be more tailored to that specific treatment.
Well, that's really fascinating. That's kind of exciting to see how many different ways that science helps with the human body. And
So
human eye.
these drops I'm excited by these drops, and there's other ones that are in the pipeline as well. But I think, and some people have asked me, well, are you afraid that if your laser procedure is going to come about, are you afraid that these drops are going to end up stealing away from your laser procedure? And I'm not. I think it's a good lead-in. So if somebody can start taking the drops, if they feel like that smaller pupil is helping them read, getting them where they need to be, then they could end up deciding that a laser procedure or something else would be good for them.
Oh, that's great. So are there main advantages of the laser treatment over the eye drops?
So the laser treatment's not FDA approved yet, so we're still in the experimental stage.
Okay.
So the eye drops are available now, and so that's one good thing about the eye drops. Now the eye drops you have to put in every day, and so you're putting them in all the time. And anytime you do something day in and day out, it can cause problems. Just like if you put in contact lenses every single day, that you could get an eye infection. You can get an eye infection from the contacts. So in some ways, LASIK could be an advantage over contact lenses because the chance of getting an eye infection would go down because you did the laser procedure once. So this would be similar. Rather than having to put eye drops in every single day, the laser treatment you would do it once, and then possibly you wouldn't need to do it again. And so there would be just a one-time, one issue. There may be some risk on that one time, but over time, that one-time risk may be less than having to do it every single day.
About how much do the eye drops cost a month?
I think the eye drops are about $100 a month right now.
Okay.
Now there's 3 different brands, and I'm not sure. They may have different pricing for each of those 3 different brands, but I believe it's about $100 a month for those eye drops.
So that's another factor people want to consider.
So after a year, you spent over $1,000 on eye drops, and if you're going to do that for the next 10, 15, 20 years, that money could have been put towards a procedure that may have cost less in the long run.
Yeah.
And it would have been something that continues over time, and you wouldn't need to keep doing the whole process of the eye drops over. And the eye drops, they wear off over the day, and so by the end of the day, they're no longer as strong as they were at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are there any other general eye care tips you have for either for aging eyes or just people with normal eyes?
So I think some of the tips probably people have heard before. So if you're outdoors in the sun, sunglasses. So protect your eyes from the UV light. That's always a great one, especially for things like preventing cataracts and other issues. Even cancer. You can get cancer on your eye, on your eyelids, things like that. So sunglasses are great. Eating healthy, green leafy vegetables. So in terms of things like macular degeneration, eating lots of vitamin A, C, E. Those kind of things that you get from green leafy vegetables, those are great.
They say carrots. I mean, rabbits and the cartoons.
So carrots have vitamins that are useful to us too, but you don't need to overdo it on carrots.
Okay.
So just your normal carrot intake. Don't become a Bugs Bunny or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, and I already talked about smoking, drinking. Those things any of those type of things can affect your eyes. So just living healthy. If you treat your body healthy, your eyes will be healthy as well.
Oh,
So-
yeah, that's good advice. And you talked about the annual eye exams earlier, and leading up to this, I was reading about an article about the importance of eye exams, and this particular article said that there was a global survey that was recently taken that discovered that 82% of Americans say that clear vision supports confidence, yet 48% of those over 40 who think they need vision correction haven't seen an eye care professional in years.
Right.
So there's kind of a disconnect. And that reminds me of when my dentist said, only come see me if you want to keep your teeth,
Yeah, so one of the greatest fears out there, and I think it is the number one fears of losing your vision, and yet they don't go to the eye doctor very often. There's a lot more dentists than there are eye doctors because people don't go to the eye doctor that often. But like we had talked about in a previous discussion, you can see when you look inside the eye, you see the blood vessels, you see the tissues, you see everything. And so it's really getting a good look at that person's health when you look inside their eye. So you can see things like hypertension and diabetes and cholesterol and things like that. And so not only is it good for your eyes, but it's good to get an idea of how the rest of your health is in your body as well.
Yeah, they say the eyes are the windows of the soul, but it's
Correct.
literally the windows to your health. And
Right.
this article
Yeah.
is mentioning over 270 plus conditions that you can trained optometrists can
Yeah.
find through the eyes.
Yeah, so optometrists and ophthalmologists. So ophthalmologists tend to be more on the surgery side. Optometrists tend to be more on the kind of the general practitioner type thing. But they're both highly trained to detect those problems in your eyes.
All right. Any other advice for eyes?
I think as long as you're keeping good exercise. I mean, I mentioned that earlier, but it's odd that you think of exercise being able to help your eyes, but
Yeah.
it does. And being outdoors, being able to get that regular sunlight and being able to see things far away, that's actually very healthy for your eyes.
Oh,
So some outdoor time. The other thing is there's a 20-20 rule where for every 20 minutes of staring up close, you spend 20 seconds to rest your eyes. So that's another idea is to
that's good,
just
yeah.
take some time to rest your eyes between intense work. Some people even set a timer, so after 20 minutes, they take a break and look around the room and relax a little bit.
and one of the great things about Rocky Mountain University is, we have the students who are learning in the classroom, but you also have the labs, and we have the clinic here that
Right.
people could come get eye
Yes, we have an eye
exams.
institute, and our students are in there. Anytime you get an exam at a educational institution, not only are you going to be able to help train future doctors, but you have an expert doctor who's overseeing it.
Yeah, I brought my kids in all for an eye exam, and then had a really good discussion about diabetes and eye care with one of the doctors here. So I highly recommend. We'll put that in the show notes as well, how people can make an appointment with the institute here.
That would be great.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much. You've reached the rapid fire round.
Okay, rapid fire.
Yes. You're still in the hot seat now.
Okay.
Well, I'm just going to ask you a question, and then you give me a quick response, whatever comes to your mind first. So the first question is, what superpower would you like and why?
Superpower. I would like to be able to control minds.
Who is your favorite author?
I would have to go with Tolkien.
If you could attend a concert by any musician from any era, who would you choose?
So I think I would go with Metallica. I saw Def Leppard last year,
Nice.
and so I think the next one on my list is Metallica. I haven't been to see that, so yeah.
Would you rather cook a meal or go out to eat?
I think if I have to do the dishes, I'd rather go out to eat.
That's a good answer. What time is supper tonight for me to come over? No, just kidding. What's your favorite type of food?
My wife is Thai, so Thai is my favorite.
And then lastly, what's the best part about working in optometry?
I just the eyes fascinate me. To me, so Darwin thought that the eyes could disprove evolution because he couldn't figure out how something so complicated, so amazing, so miraculous could have evolved over time.
Oh, great. Well, speaking of fascinating, this has been a really fascinating conversation. I appreciate all the insight and the tips you've given us and your time. So thanks for stopping by, Dr. Hickenbotham, and we look forward to chatting with you again.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.